Okay, I couldn't pass it up. Here's the next project. It's a Weltron 2001 AM/FM 8-track radio. Look at this. It swivels. I couldn't believe it. And man, it's in good shape. These were made probably in what, early 70s probably. It's got this cool handle. Look, I don't know if you can tell, but look at the color of the white down in there. Yeah, my flashlight's gonna make a strobe, but compared to the sun bleached white out here, that white is like pure bleach white under there. But handle's still there. Antenna still there in good shape. 2 speakers, stereo right and left. Suction cup bottom. Keeps it mounted on your table when you get it on there. And then back here, there's a little door. And this is where you could raise this little guy, pull out this tray, and you've got, look at that, 8D batteries would run this portable if you wanted to take it to a party or something, I guess. And then, I don't have it, but it would have went right here, I think, and it would have been the cigarette charger, so you could have played this in your car, or hooked it to your car and had enough cord to stretch it outside for your little gravel road parties. But otherwise, it's just the cord all coiled up in here that would reach over to the wall to plug it in. But there it is, model 2001, 8-track stereo player, AM/FM, 20, what does this say? 25 transistor, 13 diode. How about that? Made in Japan. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't pass it up. It goes great with the egg chair in there. So the one thing, let's see, get off some station. It's got a little stereo light. If the radio station was coming in strong, you could pick it up. There you go. Volume, tone, balance, right, left. Oh, the one thing that's cool, you could have had 2 more globes about the same size as this one for the external speakers, so you could plug in here and then stretch your cord over and have stereo in the room, so stretch out the speakers about 10 foot probably. But the bummer right now, let me turn that off. The bummer right now is when I go to 8-track, the 8-track doesn't work. And I knew that when I bought it, so I told them I'd still take it. But what I'm wondering, I know you can't, so maybe you can see in there. Again, it's strobing, but right above that big kind of square chrome thing in the center is a spotted piece of rubber, and I'm wondering if that's the belt that drove the 8-track. And I bet if I reach in there, I can pull out a big chunk. Oh yeah, I can totally see it back there. Right over, it's hard for me to point. Right over there, there's a big chunk of the rubber belt, so it's broke. But they say it's a bear to open up, because look at that, there's not one screw anywhere on this thing that you can see. You find them, there's a screw, 2 in there, and then this half comes off, and then you got to just start taking things apart to get down to it. So that's good news. I'm glad I just saw that, because all that's going to be is a rubber belt. Maybe when I have it all apart, I can lubricate some of the motor parts and then have an 8-track player working. There it is. Excuse me. I don't know what this, maybe you could have hung it by a chain or something. I don't know. Interesting. Look at that thing. Oh, there's a little spot for your headphones if you had the old style headphones. But guess what? We're going to get her going. It's got to go. It's got to get working. All right. Stay tuned. Disassembly time. Look at that. Down to almost the bare bones. 8-track player's down here, and that's where that broken belt is going to be. I mean, this is all for the radio up top here. I can't even see the 8-track player yet, but it's right about here. We'll get this faceplate off, and then I should be able to get in there and figure out where that belt goes. But look at the difference in the white from the inside to the outside over all those years. There's a good difference right there. Not too bad. That's all the dirt that was in there when I took it apart. But what do we got? 4 little screws, 4 screws, 2 big ones that were down in there, and that's all it took to take all that apart. Pretty cool assembly. Man, is that tight. It's like a little cube. Huh. Somebody had some instructions from years ago on the internet, so I'm just kind of following along, seeing if they still apply. But let's keep going. I got the top off, and after that, everything is pretty modular. You can see that weird black spotted black belt above that chrome head in there, and that's the old broken belt. But you know, here's what it looks like with just everything stripped off of it. The speaker's just laid on the side, but there's that belt. Boy, that thing was just dry and brittle and broke into a million pieces. But the inside, look how bright white that is compared to the speaker right there that's all kind of yellowed out there. You can see the top, the difference in the colors of white. Look at all of these tiny, tiny screws and washers, star washers. Man, I'm not even down to where I got to get to. There's the 8-track player, there's the motor, but the belt is on the other side. So somehow this whole assembly has to come out of the whole box. And I don't know how, but I'm getting there. We'll get it. And then I'm sure it's simple to find the belt, replace the belt. But parts everywhere. Getting down to the nitty gritty. Look at that. There's the 8-track player down in there. Probably belt pieces everywhere once I get in there. What do they always say? Don't try this at home, kids. Plugged in, totally disassembled. But before I go and buy a new belt, I need to know that this 8-track will even spin. And here's the motor right there. It's free spinning right now. And then here's the like idler wheel. And that turns too, so the belt would go around that and spin. But what we need to know is if we dropped an 8-track in there, this button right here would get pushed out, and then that motor should spin. Where's my button? Right here. Oh yeah. Look at it, that's spinning. Cool. So if a belt was on there, in theory, it would spin that, and that's what would play the 8-track down there. So I just need to clean all that in there, order up a new belt, clean those contacts right there so that they make a good connection, and button it all up. Let's see. Here's the, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, look at. So there's your four tracks, or 8 tracks, but there's your 4 channels. So that works, but that should be moving down here, the head, down a little bit, down a little bit, down a little bit, then it jumps back up. So man, everything's working good. I just need a belt. Awesome. Here we go. Doesn't look like what it did when I started. There's parts over there. Here's all the screws and nuts and bolts. Old belt. That's why the new belt's coming tomorrow. Actually, I got 2 of them just in case. But boy, I hope I remember where all these went back together. But this is, you had to take it all apart to get down to just this little area, because this is where the 8-track slides in. And I think what I found out was the belt goes from that gold wheel to this wheel here, and that's what spins the motor for the 8-track. But while it's all open like this, you sure want to get in there and clean off the head, you know, from any dirt that the tape goes across and gets red, and there's some grease on that wheel there. I'm going to take that off. But this is the time to get in there and clean it when you can get your hand in there. And then tomorrow, if that belt shows up, stretch that belt across there and button it all back up and see what we get. Hopefully it works after all that. Look what just came in. 2 new belts for the 8-track player. The Weltron 2001 AM/FM 8-track player. So I got 2. You had to have $10 worth of purchases. So I just went ahead and got a second one. I might even just leave it inside the case, so if it's me or somebody else next time, they've got a brand new belt. But this needs to go around that silver wheel and then down to this guy. So I need to stretch it across there and then button this whole thing back up. So let's get to it. And there it is. The belt is in place, and now I can start putting everything back together. And that's going to go pretty easy. Everything was lined up just the way I took it apart. So just follow the instructions backwards and put everything back on. 2 little screws stripped, so I had to get 2 new ones, but that's not bad. And here it is, just about ready to go all back together. Okay, closing in on this. Basically, I'm just going back up my disassembly list and putting things back together. Got a few more screws, put the antenna back on. Hopefully those I don't need, they strip, so I had to get some new ones. But I know it doesn't look like it, but it's coming back together. And I just got to give this faceplate a good cleaning while it's off. It's going to be a lot easier to do now than once it's all back together. So do that, a couple more steps. Get things put back together on the orb part. Okay, exciting moment. Everything is pretty much back together. Just need to put the dome on and the battery cover, but speakers are in, antennas up, everything is back together. I've tried the radio, so that's working again. So that's where we were. Radio was always working. We didn't have an 8-track player. So now it's time to pop an 8-track in there and see if we get any action. Who better to test it with than Elvis Presley? So I'm bringing you along with me on this maiden try here. It's kind of hard with one hand, but let's go to tape. That's good. We got a good light showing we're on track 1. Here comes Elvis. Maybe. Uh-oh. Why can't I get that in there? I might have to put you guys down. Let's try a little grease. Boy, that just doesn't feel right. All right, I'm going to put you down for 1 second. Try this, see why the tapes aren't going in, and I'll be right back. Well, that takes a lot of force to pop that 8-track in there for some reason. I'll have to explore that, but the good news is, listen. Of course, it just finished the song, but I think I heard Elvis. Come on, Elvis. Oh, well, Elvis is playing Don't Be Cruel. The tone is working now. The volume's working. Balance between left and right is working. I just got to figure out why that 8-track is going in there so tough. I can't figure that out. Holy cow, that was a little project, but it's all back together. It's working. 8-track works, radio works. Didn't end up with any screws or extra bolts or nuts or washers, so that's good. Got it all cleaned up. All the cracks were just, you know, people have wiped for all those years and all the junk got down in there, got all that out of there. So the only thing it doesn't have, and it did come with it, I believe, is a cigarette charger so you could play it in the car, or if you're partying by the tailgate, I guess, you could plug it into the car. But because it says it right there. 12-volt car battery. But it's ready to go. Take it inside, got it all cleaned up. That thing goes in hard, man. I can't even believe how rough that comes in. Something's rubbing. I don't know if I tightened something too tight, but boy, it slides in tight. I never should have done that, but figure it out. But it played good. So there's the Weltron 2001 AM/FM 8-track player. All done. Working.